Hi, it's Dwyer. It's February 1st, 2025. GamblersAdvisory.com, a free site, and yes, I believe life is a big gamble. Also, keepingitfree.blogspot.com. Remember, nothing I say in this video should be construed as investment advice. I want everyone here to do their own due diligence. I'm just sharing what I'm looking at, what I'm thinking about, or what I may be pursuing. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Now, I'm a divorce attorney in Silicon Valley. I am just an individual investor. I'm not claiming to have any credentials whatsoever other than just being an individual investor. I am just speaking for myself. Again, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Now, in the past on this site, I have questioned the electrical vehicle market. We'll call electrical vehicles EVs. Right? Now, Tesla in January of 2025, that's right, within the last few days, reported a decline. Again, reported a decline in 2024 vehicle deliveries and earnings versus 2023 vehicle deliveries and earnings. Right? Let me just point out, the reason why there is talk of tariffs in the space, and Elon Musk, of course, now is embedded with the Trump administration, is because China, where Tesla has a factory, has a vibrant EV market and can produce EVs at low costs. Right? Understand, Apple, very well financed, big company, was interested in getting in the EV space. They backed away after spending a lot of money developing their product. They understood that the EV space is rapidly becoming a commodity space. The competition is fierce. There might not be as much brand loyalty in the space as people think there might be. Right? Let me also point out, too, that to prevent the Chinese from taking over the American market, there is the belief that Trump, over time, will impose big tariffs on Chinese EVs. Now understand, if you're the low-cost provider, you don't have to impose tariffs. If Americans thought they could compete in the free market, they wouldn't want tariffs. They wouldn't want trade restrictions. They would want free markets. Right? So for all this talk about American exceptionalism, right, understand, at this stage, the Trump administration believes we need tariffs. Don't go by the things people say. Go by the things people do. Now let me point out that we're looking at the elimination of the $7,500 EV credit. So here again, and I know I'm sounding critical, that's the intention here. It seems like the current focus isn't on getting maximum savings for the American consumer. Rather, it is on protecting the American manufacturer. I have no problem with eliminating EV credits. I don't support EV credits. I support free markets. Right? When you put on an EV credit, you're subsidizing an industry. Why would we want to do that when there's a vibrant world market? It seems downright silly to me. So understand, when they start imposing tariffs, and I know I've been anti-tariff in every video, count this video among them. When you're imposing tariffs, you're limiting the choices of the American consumer and you're raising the prices on the American consumer. Right? Not everyone has a stake in American manufacturing. I know this runs counter to Alex Jones, for whom the word globalist is a bad word, a slur. Right? I would say the real slur is the word tariff. We used to have a lot of tariffs in American history. Right? Folks, that was a losing idea. Now let me say, I believe in time the idea of favoring the American manufacturer, and understand these manufacturers are publicly traded companies that not all of us own shares in. Right? I own a spiritual share in getting the best selection and having my choice of the price I'm going to pay. Right? I don't get that when our government is favoring a few producers, right, by allowing them to operate at a cost that internationally isn't competitive. But you're able to do that when you distort the price by slapping a tariff on it. So let me just say, I believe in time the preference of subsidizing producers over the American consumer will change, given the ongoing housing market dip. Right? In the Northeast, you might not be aware of what's happening right now in Texas or Florida. I'm positive there's some people watching this video from Texas and Florida who know what I'm talking about. You have a housing market dip. You have an upcoming stock market dip. Right, folks, the stock market does not operate in a vacuum. As we'll discuss, the current earnings don't support stock prices. Right? And of course, we're going to have an employment dip. You know we're in trouble when suddenly Meta announces layoffs, when Microsoft announces layoffs. Of course, they're going to couch them in some flowery corporate language that adds up to these people being let go were the low performers. Right? That's always what corporations do. Just understand they're letting go of people right now. Right? And these are Mag 7 companies. This is the small part of the economy that's actually doing well. They're letting go of workers right now. Let's talk about autonomous vehicles. Now, the self-driving car market could lead to major PR problems. Right? Tesla cars, and again, Elon Musk is one of the highest profile entrepreneurs in the US. Right? He's now part of the Doge department of the Trump administration. I'm all for Doge. We need outsiders to come in to slash the federal budget because the insiders haven't done it for several administrations. Right? It's time to move off the insiders and look at outsiders. I applaud Elon Musk for his effort to slash trillions from the federal budget. Right? Just understand we're trillions of dollars in debt. This isn't even a choice at this point. The current system is not sustainable. Right? So let me just say, Tesla cars come without LIDAR. Now, LIDAR is light detection and ranging. It allows the cars to use lasers the way radar used to be used. Right? Waymo, a part of the Google empire, uses LIDAR. LIDAR is considered cutting edge. There is an open question, and it is open, on whether Tesla's system is as good as LIDAR. Right? The LIDAR people don't believe it is. Elon Musk believes it is. Well, let me just point out, such questions will be front and center if there are accidents involving Tesla robo-taxis. Right? Elon Musk for years has been talking about rolling out robo-taxis. Well, the time has come. Let me point out the possible PR nightmare that could be caused if in fact we come to find out that Tesla's robo-taxis have flaws. Right? You're going to have accidents involving children. You're going to have people lending their cars to the self-driving pool of cars. Right? The way this is being sold is that I have a self-driving Tesla. I decide, you know what? Why don't I make a little bit of money? Let me just lend my car to the self-driving pool of cars. And then, of course, this afternoon when I need my car, it'll magically show back up in my driveway, and I will have gotten the fares that all the people who used my car for their trips earlier in the day paid. Right? That's the idea. Now, it sounds great until you think about the details. Right? How, if I'm the consumer, how do I know that the robo-taxi I'm hopping in has been properly maintained? Especially when it's not coming from some fleet. It's actually coming from people who are just lending their cars to the pool. Just think about the cars on your block. I'm sure you have that neighbor who gets his oil changed every 3,000 miles, right, for his internal combustion engine car. Right? I'm sure you have that neighbor who is constantly checking his tire pressure. Right? Now, I can tell you, I'm not the person who gets my oil checked every 3,000 miles. There have been times where I check my tire pressure after several months and I find that I need to put a lot of air in one of the tires. Right? I'm sure there's that friend where, you're in the friend's car and of course they have, fast food wrappers on the seat. There's that empty soda bottle on the seat. You can tell that not only has the guy not had his car in for a checkup anytime within the last few months, hell, the guy hasn't even cleaned the inside of his car anytime over the last few months. Now you're telling me there's going to be a taxi fleet where I just say, hey, you know what, go ahead and use my car. Right, go ahead and use my car. I'll just collect the profits and we'll be good. Right? I've borrowed a friend's car in the past. We all have these stories. And of course, as I'm driving off with the car, I notice the tank is on E. Empty. Now, are you going to bring that kind of flux into a robo-taxi service? The devil's going to be in the details here. Consumers need to know that when they hop in an autonomous driving robo-taxi, that it's properly charged. Right? The car's not going to conk out as it goes down the block. It's been properly maintained. If the system tells the car that it needs to brake, I need to know, as the passenger, that the brakes work. Right? These flowery earnings reports where everyone's smiling and here's a shocker, management is telling you that the company is doing well. Of course, the owners of the company have a vested interest in supporting the value of their shares. just understand it's not enough. So let's watch this robo-taxi roll out carefully. Right? Let's make sure that the cars are safe, that the people temporarily donating their cars for the pool of cars are properly maintaining the cars, that there are safeguards in place. Where if you get in a car and you're noticing soda wrappers, soda cans, the car hasn't been cleaned for some time, right? There's a bad odor. You know, you see lights flashing on the dash and you get the feeling that that's not good. Let's hope that the market actually addresses all of this early. As in any new market, there are going to be hiccups. Let's be prepared for hiccups in the rollout of these EV autonomous driving robo-taxis. Let me tell you, we had autonomous driving robo-taxis in San Francisco. I believe crews pull their cars. Right? Every week there was some story about some car, running out of juice in the middle of an intersection. Google it. Right? Let's just say the rollout in San Francisco didn't quite work as well as people thought it would. Let's change gears. Let's talk stock valuations. I know in the past I've been here discussing the Buffett indicator. Right? My belief is you should depend on no one. You should not get fish, you should learn how to fish. Right? That's my life philosophy. So we all need shorthand to just kind of figure out, by looking at a few equations, what the lay of the land is. Right? Just get a general idea on where things are. Now, the Buffett indicator tells us that American stocks are hopelessly overpriced right now. Well, let's talk about another shorthand way to figure things out. The rule of 20. What you want to do is to subtract the rate of CPI inflation from the number 20. And that should roughly be the PE ratio of the S&P 500. Right? The rationale is that inflation erodes the value of future earnings. So a higher inflation rate should result in a lower PE. Right? Now, folks, understand, the CPI rate is currently 2.9%. Again, it's 2.9%. Accordingly, the PE ratio for the S&P 500 should be 17.1. Right? 20 minus 20 minus 2.9 gives you 17.1. It is not. Instead, it's up around 25. Right, folks? We have a long way to go down. Right? Just understand that current stock valuations are ignoring the inflation rate. Finally, I have a crypto page on Substack. It's DWYER70905.substack.com. Right? It's the same name as my YouTube boxing page here, boxing account, .substack.com. Right? Now let's talk about MicroStrategy. I believe that the experts aren't experts. that if understanding markets and the impact of legislation on markets were so easy, all of these legislators would be multimillionaires. Right? They would be able to do more than just promise you a lot of money. They would actually be able to give you a lot of money without the $36 trillion of debt. Right? That's not the way it is. You have unintended consequences from all this legislation that leads to $36 trillion in U.S. debt. So the Biden administration in 2022 passed something called the Inflation Reduction Act. Right? I can't say this more clearly. You should always ignore the name of legislation. Right? This act came up with the concept of a corporate alternative minimum tax. You could just imagine how this flew in Congress. People were talking about these wealthy corporations somehow avoiding taxation because they had unrealized capital gains. Right? Well, understand what happened. Right now, if you have a lot of unrealized capital gains, rather than be celebrated, rather than be viewed as a wealth creator, rather than be an oasis for all of these public pension plans that are actually looking for a rate of return, they're looking for unrealized capital gains on their investment. Rather than be an exemplar of how the economy should operate, instead our beloved Congress, and yes, I'm being sarcastic, decided that they were going to put a tax rate of 15% on these unrealized gains. Well, welcome to the world of digital assets. Right? Just to understand, you have a whole slew of people who got Bitcoin at less than $1,000. Well, you have a company, MicroStrategy, and MicroStrategy is sitting on a stash of Bitcoin that's worth about $47 billion. And it includes $18 billion in unrealized gains. $18 billion. They may have to pay 15% on these unrealized gains. Right? Now just understand the consumer benefits from MicroStrategy. Because if I'm storing my Bitcoin myself, I'm trying to figure out a Treasure wallet, I'm trying to figure out a Ledger wallet. Let's say I figure it out, and then I misplace my, code. Let's say I don't know how to get into the Ledger wallet. Let's just say that I'm on the outside, I lose my crypto. Not only that, let's say I have a lot on my Ledger wallet, but, I have kids at the house and they like to grab things. The Ledger wallet might be a good toy to the kid. They, are fooling around with the buttons and stuff like that. And of course, much of my life savings are on the crypto stored in that Ledger wallet. So just understand the convenience the consumer has when they can just invest in a stock. And of course, you believe in crypto, MicroStrategy is collecting crypto. You like the idea of being with a company that is able to have billions of dollars of crypto. They're storing everyone else's money. Why can't they store my money? Right? This, is the group of the consumers where you want to bank with a big bank. The idea is that, Chase, Bank of America, whoever the big bank is, knows what they're doing. They're too big to fail. Right now, just imagine if, because of the tax being levied on MicroStrategy, it actually makes more sense for you financially to self-custody. Even though self-custody carries the risk of you losing your code, your kids running off with your crypto, thieves breaking into your house or your storage unit. By the way, some thieves broke into my storage unit. Right? Trying to find your, ledger or treasure wallet. Right? Just imagine how much more dangerous it is to self-custody. Well, our well-meaning Congress, of course, has made it harder to invest in MicroStrategy. MicroStrategy, if the law doesn't change, is looking at a 15% tax. Right? It would be more expensive to store your Bitcoin with MicroStrategy, right? To buy MicroStrategy, and as they collect the Bitcoin, you own it through your ownership of the stock. Right? It might become too expensive to do that versus self-custody, which has its own set of risks. Now, I'm sure the people in Congress meant well here, right? We want to tax these evil corporations, right? That's the way some people see it. They don't see it as wealth creation. The bottom line is that you, the crypto owner, are at greater risk. Now, Trump, unlike Biden, seems to understand the value of digital assets. In fact, he's a digital asset entrepreneur himself. Right? There's the Trump coin. There's even a Melania coin. Right? Now, I personally don't believe in meme coins. I'm not here going to pretend that I endorse Trump's coins. But Trump should understand that the goal of holding a Solana, these experimental cryptos, I even have some Supra, for crying out loud, is you're hoping the coin grows in value like Bitcoin has grown in value. Right? So let's hope that Congress changes this Inflation Reduction Act. Right? Let's hope that MicroStrategy doesn't have to pay 15% on its unrealized gains. Right? If the law is changed, I'm guessing MicroStrategy is going to jump in value. But understand, if the law is not changed, MicroStrategy is looking at a 15% bill on its unrealized gains. Those are my thoughts. And of course, if you're holding, as we've discussed in the past, single stock ETF derivatives on MicroStrategy, such as MSTX, you need to be laser focused on this tax liability that MicroStrategy is looking at. Right? Let's see what happens. Something has to happen here. You can't have an administration talking about how they want to be the crypto capital of the world while also having ridiculous tax schemes that tax unrealized gains. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.